And the quote for the day, which happened just before we came on the air: if you're allowed, don't always mean you should. And we'll research that as we go forward. I'm John Gray, and we're just plain living.
Well, good morning, John Gray, philosopher that you are. I'm Peggy Burton.
And I'm Jim Fuller.
No, I'm not the philosopher.
We heard that from, you'd think something like that would come from John or I, but no, it did not.
So, how are things?
Everything's good, and you?
Yeah, I'm good.
Jimmy Fuller's back.
My.
Look there, there's Fuller on the beach, toes
Cute.
in the sand.
I love it.
Where's your lawnmower? The only time I've ever see you look like that, you're pushing a lawnmower.
I wonder where you got those pictures. Actually, I didn't know they existed. Yeah.
We got you, Fuller.
Right.
I'm really proud of you. I'm extremely proud of you. You stayed an entire week with your family.
I did.
On vacation.
That's great, Jimmy.
Yeah.
Jimmy normally bails out after about 3 days and drives back home by himself.
About 3 days on the beach usually.
How was the weather? Was it beautiful?
It was. It was very nice weather the entire time.
Where were you?
In Fort Walton Beach.
Fort Walton.
And
nice beach.
the hurricane, or the so-called hurricane, rolled in the day I left.
Weren't you lucky?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
But I left about 5 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah. So you got away from it.
And thinking I was going to beat the traffic. However, everybody had that idea. So
I know that
some of those roads out of Fort Walton before you get to I-65,
pretty crowded.
They're 2-lane roads. A lot of them are, and that you have to travel. And it was just bumper to bumper, 5 o'clock in the morning. So.
I know Lane Curley, Mayor Curley, last night on the board meeting read a letter that a lady had sent to him about a stay in Tullahoma and how gracious everyone was. And they had left down there, headed north, and she said they drove 14 hours and went less than 300 miles.
Oh my God.
Yeah, well, that's unreal.
So that's how crazy it was.
Well, the crazy part
took them 2 days to get to Atlanta, I think, or something.
No
like
kidding.
That's
The crazy part when I was leaving was people were driving like,
maniacs.
the speed limit on these roads was 55. People were driving 80, 90,
wanted to get out.
passing on double yellow lines, curves, and I'm thinking, I wonder if I ever did that. I probably did that when I was younger, but goodness gracious.
I guess they were anxious.
I guess.
Was better than
your reflexes are a whole lot better at 21, 22, 23.
Yeah, but if you come around a blind curve and,
Like your bulletproof.
That's right.
You take a ditch, everything will be all right.
Yeah, right. Right.
Hey, one of the things we have going on this week is Becky Buller is going to be at South Jackson Civic Center on Saturday night with her award-winning band and her award-winning self, and it's going to be a great show. It's at 7:30, so show up for that. We probably have a little video of her that we'll use on today's show.
She is one of Bluegrass's finest.
Top of the heap right now.
And she lives in Manchester. That's what's so cool.
I don't know if that's on the video clip or not, but you were telling me some really interesting things about Becky and about some of the awards that she's got.
Well, she won last year. She was the first female ever to win the Instrumentalist Award.
And the top vocalist.
And the top vocalist.
At the same time, yeah.
Well, she won top vocalist at the same time, but before her, no woman had ever won the Instrumentalist Award.
It's pretty amazing.
And that's just pretty incredible.
We are so blessed that she got transferred down to Manchester.
Yeah.
I think she's from Minnesota.
Minnesota.
And she fits in good here.
Fits in very well.
We're excited.
Good girl. She's a good girl.
Absolutely, and that's coming up this Saturday.
And if you want tickets, it's 455-5321. Put a 931 in front of that if you're out of this area. Or www.southjackson.org, and you can get tickets online.
And speaking about South Jackson, we have a little clip that we'll probably use today as well. The groundbreaking for Light Up South Jackson took place yesterday, and that's the fundraising engine that's been running for the last 2 years to try to get the new parking lot and new lighting and some work done inside the building and everything.
That's going to happen too, isn't it? Most of the
they're starting. It was groundbreaking was yesterday.
I think it will. I think it is actually going to happen.
Yeah, they're going to start the think it was the 23rd of this month, they'll move in and start pouring all the concrete curbs and getting ready for concrete. They probably won't pave until spring because it'll take them a lot of time to get all the concrete
stuff done. We need to get some accolades to the Centennial Women's Club for their part in this.
Sure. South Jackson Civic Center raised a whole lot of money, and the Centennial Women's Club took it on as their fundraising endeavor for a couple of years that they included in their competition for a national award. So, and then the city stepped up and said, okay, we'll match up to $100,000 anything you raise. So that's the three entities is where all that money's coming from.
Yeah,
so
cool.
It's great. Yeah. It'll be a great addition to our community.
I think South Jackson Civic Center is an icon in this community, and it'd be nice for it to be lit up and look nice.
And have plenty of parking,
functional with all the things that's needed.
Yeah, there's a lot of dirt parking goes on over there now, so maybe that'll change.
Yeah, right.
Well, there's probably not 100 parking spots.
Yeah.
So there's going to be a lot more. Is that correct?
Well, everywhere where we have grass back there on the side of the building's all going to be pavement.
It's going to be paved. I don't realize how much is going to be paved.
Yeah, there's a lot. And then on the other side where the office is now, there's going to be a strip of parking over there as well.
Good.
To where the people who are entertainers
and hopefully
come in on that side.
So that people won't be in the dark when they park.
Yeah, there's wonderful lighting that's supposed to go in.
Some people are in the dark regardless of the light.
Yeah, that's true.
Some people are always going to be in the dark.
That's the way it is.
Yes.
Yeah.
Hey, one thing I want to do right quick is say thank you to Ann Rogers down the road here on Cedar Lane at Junk and Disorderly, and because she's the one that provided us with all of these gourds and pumpkins and just neat looking little things. And
cute.
If you need
absolutely.
table decorations, yard decorations, go down on Wilson Avenue or Cedar Lane, excuse me, and go to Junk and Disorderly.
I love that name.
I do too.
Junk and Disorderly.
It just kind of rhymes with how you feel sometimes, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's
absolutely.
For sure. And we have some folks from the Art Center here today. There's a new photography exhibit over there, and the photographer artist is here with us today,
awesome.
John Buffington, and so we're going to talk with him a little bit. And
we have Tullahoma's finest.
We have the both of them are over there. Those are the grand marshals for this year's Tullahoma Christmas Parade. The Chief and the Chief.
The Chief and the Chief. That was an excellent choice, I think.
Oh,
really
yeah.
was.
By the way, yeah.
I want to see which one of them gets shotgun. They're going to have to flip a coin to see who gets shotgun on that. And then we have a representative from Hamilton's. It's going to be done over at the Fly in Shelbyville here today to talk about that. It happened at South Jackson Civic Center about a month ago and had great success, so it's being done in Shelbyville.
One of the kids that was in Hamilton's, the little curl girl. Lauren, you know what I'm talking about? The young girl that sings so well. But anyway, she was in Hamilton's, and she went to New York with her family and saw it on Broadway. And at intermission or at the end, she started singing, and so obviously gathered a crowd and got lots of autographs, and she just had the greatest time.
Yeah, that's little Ethel Merman Rogers.
And that's a result of Will Prater and his event at South Jackson. I thought that was cool.
Well, and no, you brought her on stage before that on the country show.
Well, that's true, but
so she's quite spectacular and very, very special.
Along with a lot of other people in this community.
Sure.
Anyway, I thought that was sweet. She was excited.
Absolutely.
So Fuller, welcome back.
Well, it's good to be back.
Glad we miss you when you're gone, buddy.
I'm sure y'all did.
When you're gone.
I'm sure y'all did just fine. I was glad to get back, though.
Yeah, good.
You're right. I pushed it just a little bit. I stayed a little bit longer than I normally would for that kind of event. But,
well, you have a wonderful family and 3 beautiful grandchildren, and you need to spend those times with them because they disappear pretty quick.
Abigail went down to the beach one afternoon. She brought her ukulele and her guitar and all that kind of stuff. She came.
I bet she gathered a crowd.
She took her guitar down to the beach one day, and actually she had come to my room one day, and brought her guitar because she's not big time into the sun as the rest of them are. But I said, Abigail, it would be really nice if you do a country song for your mom and daddy.
Yeah.
And she said, well, what do you want me to do? And I said, I want you to learn this song right real quick. The David Allen Cole song, "You Don't Have to Call Me Darling, Darling."
Right.
It's got the line in it, "I was drunk the day my mom got out of prison." You know.
Did she learn it?
She learned it in about 15 minutes, learned how to play it.
The things that girl will do for her grandpa.
Yeah. And anyway, she headed down to the beach late in the afternoon. She was going to sing it for him. And in the process, I guess people thought she was some kind of entertainer, and the people started coming
gathering
by,
around.
you know.
Yeah,
so anyway,
that's
it
what
was
music
kind of
does
fun.
for you.
Yeah.
You can
She is some kind of entertainer.
Well, she is.
She's very accomplished little entertainer. Hey, folks, we've run out of time for the useless dribble. We'll be right back after these few messages with the rest of today's show.
Russell's got your truck, man. Russell's got your truck. Chevy, Ford, and Ram, man. Russell's got your truck. With the best selection anywhere. Russell's got your truck.
Keith Barnett here at the Russell Barnett Automotive Family, and man, do we ever have your truck. 4 brands, hundreds to choose from, all at year-end discounted prices. So with so much to choose from, my question is, why buy your next truck anywhere else?
Russell's got your truck, man.
All I have to do to think about what I was physically before and what I am now, and I don't ever want to go back to that original situation.
The overall mission of the rehab team is always what is best for the patient and how we can facilitate maximum potential from every resident.
Well, the most important thing to me is that I'm allowed to do whatever I want to do, you know.
Everyday Miracles, Life Care Center of Tullahoma.
Get your news first, fast, and free with your news leader on 6 every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday nights at 6, 8, and 10 p.m. Local weather, sports, community calendar events, and a comprehensive look at the latest news stories and news makers as only a video news broadcast can do. Get it first, fast, and free with News Leader on Channel 6, your local information network.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. This is our segment we refer to as Police Pointers, and the star of this segment is joining us today. And I always love saying that Paul is the star of this segment. Tullahoma Police Chief Paul Blackwell.
Yeah, well, you make it hard to be humble. I
thought of you many, many times last week while I was on my way to Florida and coming back, that I would see people doing crazy stuff driving, and I thought, you know, Paul says you're not supposed to do that. My friend Paul says you shouldn't do that. And perhaps I would have never paid that much attention to the whole deal had I not spent this time with you over the past 3 or 4 years.
Well, good. I'm glad you got something out of it. And I think, as we know, some of the folks watching us have gotten a thing or two as well. And we both hear it out in the community. So it's good to get together and talk about topics of interest.
You know, and one other quick thing, because I know you've got something you want to talk about today. But while I was gone, which I never do this, I actually read a book, and it was concerning domestic violence, and I hadn't really thought about that, but back in the 50s, 60s, it was pretty common, and most of the time nobody did anything about it.
Yeah.
And how times have changed. Mm-hmm. Domestic violence has its penalties now, whether it's inflicted on a man or a woman. I assume. Is that correct? And
the umbrella it spreads. It's not just husband wife. Now it's if you've ever been in a relationship with somebody, mm-hmm. if you've ever lived with somebody. So that umbrella has widened immensely as far as who domestic violence falls under the domestic violence statutes. Mm-hmm. And it can even go down to children.
Sure.
If you live in a household. And so it's expanded a lot. And I can remember when I first got in law enforcement, how you handle domestic violence situations is totally opposite the way we have to handle them today. So there's been a big evolution of how domestic violence has been handled.
As I read this book, I thought, that just couldn't happen today in Tullahoma, probably because of the way the laws are enforced. The laws are on the books and the way they're enforced.
I wouldn't want to say it couldn't happen, because obviously we know anything can.
Oh, sure, yeah.
But the way the statutes are written and the requirements we have, we're more proactive about it than just telling somebody. Years ago, the response was telling someone, they need to knock it off. If we come back, someone's going to jail. You know, so you can't do that anymore.
Right.
Or years ago, we'd say, you need to go find you a place to go stay for the night. We can't do that anymore either. So I think we're just more proactive to try to prevent continued violence or the possibility of violence.
Do I recall you telling me that if there's evidence that domestic violence has been inflicted on one of the people involved, somebody's going to jail?
Yeah, and the law is pretty straightforward on that. That if we find that even if it hasn't occurred, but there's a strong likelihood that if we don't take action, it could occur, we can arrest off that as well. So yeah, it's someone's going to go, and sometimes both of them go. Right. Because both of them, you know, are probably as contributed to it equally, and we've had to take both parties to jail at times.
You know, and I'm sure that law has probably saved a lot of pain.
Probably saved a lot, and
maybe even some lives.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. The real reason you're here today was not to discuss that. It was something else.
Talk about saving lives.
Saving lives. Okay. That's what you guys do.
Something we did last year with Blood Assurance on North Jackson Street, there at the Walgreens intersection. The fire department and the police department had a friendly little challenge to see who could raise have the most donations in their name, and it was a very successful day. It was done on a Saturday, and I believe they'd received upwards to 52 units, which for them was a very exciting day because that represented a couple weeks worth of donations for them. So they asked if we'd be interested in doing it again, and Chief Chastain and I, you know, it was not hard to say, sure, we'll do it again. Now, I will say last year the fire department won, you know, and no ill feelings about that because all the blood that was donated stays in our community. Right. So that's what's really positive.
Do they have more personnel than you have?
No, they have about the same number of personnel.
Okay.
But, you know, we won't get into why they could get more people to show up.
Personally, I think you should not have lost, though, Paul, because you guys could pull somebody over and say, look, you got an option here. I'll either give you a ticket or you can go down to Blood Assurance.
Yeah, and I'd probably be out of a job tomorrow.
Oh, yeah, that's right. I think there's
that type
something
thing.
Illegal about that.
But it's, you know, it's all good in good fun. No matter who wins or loses, the community wins.
Absolutely.
So we're willing to do that. And what Blood Assurance, it's going to be October 21st, which is only a couple weeks away from us. It's a Saturday morning. It'll be from 9 in the morning till 2 in the afternoon. So anyone that comes in to give blood, we'll just ask, you know, are you donating on behalf of the fire department or the police department? But what they're going to do this year is expand it to the week before and the week after. Oh. So if you give blood the week before the 21st, you can still designate. Right. Because they know that they don't want to limit it to just that Saturday, because if people can't get out, then they lose that donation. Right. But it says here, you know, engage your friends, family, and community members to help in an effort. And as I said, the blood that is donated here stays in this area. Right. And it could be my family, it could be your family that needs that blood, or other items that Blood Assurance collects. You know, they collect platelets, blood, whole blood. Right. You know, all kinds of different blood. There's the big difference that I've become a little more educated that you're not just going in and giving blood. Yeah, right. And I've been given myself every month for the last 18 months. Yeah. So, you know, it's kind of enjoyable and rewarding to go in and know that you're doing your part.
And it's actually pretty painless.
It after the first few sticks, you know, you know when it feels right and when it doesn't feel right. Right. But you know, and a lot of people are nervous about the needles. But you know, that's part of it if you're going to give. And
Well, the personnel over there are pretty good at doing that.
They are. The same people have been there for quite a bit of time, so the staff is not turning over and getting comfortable with new people all the time. So yes, they're very good, and yeah, it's well worthwhile. So the police department would like to win this year, but the same thing. If we don't win, at least all the blood is going to a good purpose.
I see Chief Chastain in the studio, so I guess he's going to make a pitch for the fire department.
Well, you know, about the only thing he can say is we won. I mean, what more must you say?
Well, it's true.
We won.
That's true.
And I fall on my knees in humble awness of his presence and his folks that showed up.
Great. That's a great way to put that.
Yeah. A lot of his firemen came out. A lot of their family came out.
Right.
And it was just, you know, we had several police officers come out and give as well. But for some reason, you know, when you're standing there with those big red trucks and everything, and you know, giving away goodies and all this, and you know, you tend to get people that want.
Are you suggesting perhaps he took unfair advantage of his assets in the fire department? He says he did.
If he says he did, then he did.
Yeah. Okay. Right.
You know, obviously the big difference is our police officers are going from call to call to call.
Right.
And when you give blood, you have to be able to stay there for 20, 30 minutes. And Chief Chastain and his folks had a system going where, you know, they could stay available for calls and still be able to give.
Yeah.
And we just weren't able to work a system like that, you know, we could take someone completely out of service for an hour.
Right.
But his folks had it worked out to where the service to the community wasn't affected at all.
Right.
So he did a great job. You know, I don't mind losing to something that was a well-oiled machine like that.
Okay. All right. Our congratulations.
But we did try to twist some arms last year and tell some folks this year, you got to donate on behalf of the police department.
Right.
But as I said, about 52 units last year. So that's just phenomenal.
Right.
They're very excited about that. So one final time, October 21st. That's a Saturday. Couple Saturdays away, from 9 in the morning till 2 in the afternoon.
Okay.
I believe Blood Assurance will have some kind of snacks out there. They always have snacks for the people that donate to, you know, so replenish.
Sure.
You know, some of the things that you may have lost, and they're going to have giveaways. They have socks that are different colors, socks that you'll get if you donate. Or try to donate.
Right.
You know, not everybody can donate, but they want you to show up and go through the screening process and see if you are eligible to give.
Sure.
So, holidays are coming up. A lot of people on the road, a lot of travel, and as I said, when you learn more about the blood, you don't take it once, and it's not going to stay there for years.
Right.
It's got a life cycle to where, you know, it's got to be constantly replenished, the supply, and the big thing for me to give to Blood Assurance was it stayed here.
Right.
You know, there's other organizations where you can donate blood, but that blood may go wherever the need is.
Right.
But I chose to donate to where it stayed right here in our community.
Okay. Great program.
Yes.
So make plans.
If you can do it, help the police out. Let us win one, you know. But the community wins overall.
Absolutely, Paul. Thank you so much for
Thanks
coming
for having
me. Great program, by the way, folks. We'll be right back in just a moment with more living.
Let me tell you about the toughest guy on earth. He does the work of 2 jobs, but only gets paid for one. He's tough enough to feed the man that gave him a lifetime of nourishment. He has the crazy strength to lift the man that raised him up without even flinching. That's right. No employee of the month bonus check here. This guy, this warrior, will always be by his father's side, even if his dad will hardly remember. Good luck finding a gym to train for that. If this guy isn't the toughest guy on the planet, then I don't know who is. Caregiving is tougher than tough. Find the care guides you need at aarp.org/caregiving.
Is this the year you want to get fit? If so, check out just some of the things Tullahoma Parks and Rec has to offer. Kickboxing, aerobics, silver sneakers workouts, swim lessons, boot camp, water aerobics, basketball, Zumba, yoga, pickleball, lap swimming, treadmill, karate. Get fit, Tullahoma, and have some fun with Tullahoma Parks and Rec.
When your family suffers the loss of a loved one, the caring and compassionate staff at Tullahoma Funeral Home and Coffee County Funeral Chapel are standing by to assist you in every way possible. We are proud to support local industry and offer only Batesville caskets. Many funeral homes don't own or operate a crematory. We utilize the only crematory in Coffee County. Your loved one never leaves Coffee County. We can accommodate any need and any budget. Consider our complete pre-need service to remove this burden from your family during their time of grief. Lock in today's low costs and protect from inflation. Tullahoma Funeral Home and Coffee County Funeral Chapel. Our family caring for your family.
I got so lucky today. I have with me the fire chief, Mr. Shastine. How good to see you.
It's nice to see you.
It's so hard for me to picture you adulting.
Yes,
Since
me too.
we started out right here.
Am I really grown up?
You really
I'm
grown
having
up.
so much fun.
Yeah, you're having so much fun. What does all that mean? Yeah. Anyway, I've loved you since I've known you at what, 5 years old? I think about 5.
Oh yeah.
And we have things to talk about. I know you're going to talk about blood because you got some competition going on somehow with the
Well,
police.
yeah, it's competition. We had a pretty good time last year doing the blood drive for blood assurance with the police department. And we're looking forward to another victory this year, of course.
Of course.
You know, the fire department, our firefighters come through, as well as the citizens. You know, they really come out for that. And we kind of catch them when they're coming in the door and say, hey, you know, don't forget us.
Don't forget,
we help you all the time.
Exactly.
You know, we're there when you need us.
We're the
minutes
first
away.
responder.
That's right. You know? So it's a lot of fun. Paul and I have a good time with it.
Well, it's such a great
Chief
cause.
Blackwell, excuse me, Chief Blackwell and I.
So it's such a great cause. I mean,
Absolutely.
let's face it, if you ever need blood, you're going to know how important this
Yes.
is.
And a lot of calls we deal with, both his department and mine, is a direct relation to needing blood.
So in order to support you, if I went down and gave blood, I would say this is for the fire department?
Between the 14th of October and the 28th of October, anybody that comes in, if they say this is for fire or police, then it will go to our credit, as well as on the 21st, that Saturday, it'll go towards fire or police.
And for people that don't know where the place is, where blood assurance is located,
it's at the corner of 41A and 55 at Wilson Avenue.
Okay.
Where
That'll be easy.
Walgreens, the cemetery,
Can't miss
the big Speedway.
Used to be at
all that. Used to be Niederhauser.
Niederhauser, right.
Yeah.
And I think they do a great job.
They do.
And supplying the community and the region with blood is terrific. And if we were ever in a situation like Las Vegas, how nice it would be to know we had blood available.
Absolutely.
And you never know.
That's right. We have storms come through. We have things periodically. We've got an interstate. We got a rail system. We got a lot of opportunities for something to happen.
Exactly. And I think we need to always be prepared and be alert.
And that's what we do.
That's
we try to
right.
be prepared. Both Chief Blackwell and myself work very hard to be as prepared as you can be for whatever. But it's tough.
It is tough. I know that it's tough. But what else is happening?
Well, of course, this week is Fire Prevention Week nationwide. And of course, the motto this year is no 2 ways out when seconds count. So what that's reminding us is in your home, make sure you have 2 ways out. And if it's a bedroom, it's supposed to have a door and a window.
Okay.
So if you're sleeping in a room that's a bedroom that doesn't have 2 ways out, then you need to reconsider sleeping in that room because it's supposed to have a window and a door. You need to make sure that window works, that you can raise it and lower it.
That makes me think I need to go home and check my window because I have new windows and I'm not totally sure I know how to get them open.
That's right. You need to do that.
Or how to get them totally open so I can get out.
No one is immune from a fire. It can happen anytime.
Exactly.
Your electrical system, a heater coming on, cooking, whatever.
We had a fire in our house, and the Franklin County fire department saved our lives. I mean, saved our home.
Right.
And you just never know. We never expected it. It can happen in a heartbeat.
That's right, and you need to have a plan. You need to have a plan of how you're going to get out, where you're going to go, what you're going to do once you get out. If anyone's staying with you, you need to make sure they know the plan, so that you have a meeting place.
And those are things people forget.
Absolutely, and it can happen tonight.
And like, for instance, if you don't all meet at the same place, you're not sure about what somebody's still in there, so you're putting somebody's life in jeopardy that might be going in hunting for that person.
We've had that happen. Somebody go out the front door and somebody go out the back door.
And not know the other one.
And they can both go back in, and you usually don't get a second chance.
And that's terrible.
Now, we did have one pull up one time at a fire, and we had one run back in the house as we were pulling up, and the house was a big fire, and he was going to get a cat. We don't recommend that.
I would not recommend it. I love my cat, but
But the animals have a little bit better survival rate because they're low to the ground.
Right. And if there is an escape route, they'll generally make it out.
That's right. So, we like for people to meet us outside and tell us, there's a dog in the utility room, it's the first door on the left, something like that. We can go in and try to save them, and we certainly will if it's not going to be too much of a risk for our firefighters.
What has been the most traumatic fire you've had to handle? Can you think?
We've had several involving people.
Yeah.
It's just tough to deal with.
It's got to be.
Most of the time we know them, or we know somebody that knows them.
That's the way it is in a smaller community.
I'm going to tell you what. I worked an accident with your sister.
That
out
was
on Rock Creek Road.
And I'll
never forget it.
You know that I was standing on the patio at my house, hearing the sirens, and had no clue that it was her.
Yeah. Well,
and thank God you were there.
I remember it like it was yesterday. I mean, there's a lot of calls.
It was horrible.
And all our firefighters go through that. When they close their eyes, they think about calls. When somebody asks them, what's your worst call? Well, it's one I don't want to talk about.
Well, yeah.
I have enough trouble sleeping at night.
It's got to be hard. I think I have wondered about PTSD with firemen and policemen.
Absolutely.
It's just as much as the soldiers coming home that have gone through so many horrible things.
Right.
And you have to work at that. And so, do you have a certain thing you do to help you stay focused and calm?
Well, I mean, when we're in action, so to speak, everybody's training. Your training just kicks in.
Oh, yeah.
And you automatically just do what you've got to do to get through that. Now, when it's over, I've got a boat. I go to the boat. I work on the boat.
Good. Yeah.
I work on everybody else's boat. Pam says, we can't go to the lake and relax because you're working on
everybody's boat.
But that's what
your
I enjoy.
therapy.
It gets my mind off of reality.
Which is a good lesson to the world. Everybody needs something.
Oh, yeah.
Something special that they do that takes your mind away. It might be dancing. It might be working on a boat. There's many things. If this is Fire Prevention Week, do we need to tell people to check their fire detectors and all that kind of stuff?
We absolutely have a free program for smoke alarms inside the city, and it's on our blinking sign, and we do that year-round. We visit the schools year-round. When they're in school, of course, they're out this week.
Yeah.
And I guess it's maybe the last time they're going to be out during
I think it
fire
is. I think things have.
Next year, things are changing.
Things are changing.
But we do all the stuff that we do every day. And last year we had 11 fires in Tullahoma.
Wow.
11 structure fires. And when we were evaluated by our ISO, the guy, he didn't call me a liar, but he said, there's no way, Chief. There's no way you only had 11 fires. And I feel like we had more than that.
I think it's because you teach fire prevention.
Well, we work hard at it. Our guys work, all day, every day, working on fire prevention. But I think our smoke alarm program has been able to notify people early that there's a problem before it turns into a structure fire. They don't call us and say, hey, I burnt my bacon on the stove, but I got it put out.
Yeah.
They don't call us and let us know
Right.
that. So I think
So
our
you
fire
don't know
prevention
that there's
program's
probably,
working. But
I think it is working.
yeah, the inspector was very happy with that number. He's like, wow.
And if you have questions, I think, about your smoke detector, et cetera, there's the information. There's a phone number.
Absolutely. Melissa Allen is our secretary, and she'll be glad to answer anything, or she'll put you in touch with one of the captains or Deputy Chief Duncan Stubblefield or myself, and we'll help you any way we can.
I know you will, and they've turned us off almost. I love you, Richard Chastain, and thank you for all you do for this community. We'll be back.
Smoking tobacco accounts for 3 of every 10 fire deaths in the United States.
Tullahoma Fire Department. Need you en route to a structure fire, 202 Main Street. Heavy smoke showing. Neighbors advise child trapped inside.
Lighters, matches, and associated smoking paraphernalia are the leading cause of preschooler fire deaths. We as firefighters know that most structure fires can be prevented.
I've got one! Command, this is primary search. We have a victim. Need EMS to meet us at the front door.
Please help us to give you a fighting chance. This can be prevented. Contact the Tullahoma Fire Department for a free home safety inspection.
What's a Tennessee vacation? It starts off like any road trip, and then, boom, adventure and thrills everywhere you look, which happens to be some of the most beautiful scenery in the country. Music here, history there, and all kinds of green in between. Come relax and unwind, or bring the crowd for some stargazing, or stargazing. Whatever you do, come hungry and expect an awesome soundtrack. It's all right here in Tennessee. We're playing your song. For a free vacation guide, visit tnvacation.com.
Get your news first, fast, and free with your news leader on 6 every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday nights at 6, 8, and 10 p.m. Local weather, sports, community calendar events, and a comprehensive look at the latest news stories and news makers as only a video news broadcast can do. Get it first, fast, and free with News Leader on Channel 6, your local information network.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, like I said earlier, for about the past 2 years, South Jackson Civic Center has been raising money for Light Up South Jackson, which is an endeavor to upscale the building, get new parking facilities, light the building properly, have some changes made inside with sound and lights and reconstruction of some rooms. And the groundbreaking for that was yesterday with the help of the Centennial Women's Club in the city of Tullahoma. The money's been raised for phase 1 of that, and we were there yesterday for that groundbreaking, and here's a little video. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, this is the groundbreaking of Light Up South Jackson, and this is a program that's been going on for several years involving South Jackson Civic Center and the Centennial Women's Club of Tullahoma raising money, and the money that was raised has been matched by the city of Tullahoma for upgrading our Civic Center here. And this is a long-awaited event. The first thing that will happen is the parking lot and the parking lot lighting, and the exterior lighting of the building will be done. And then the other phases are inside reconstruction, lights and sound for the stage area. So it's a great day at South Jackson Civic Center.
Can you squeeze in just a little bit?
All right, a Tullahoma architect, Frankie Ricks of Lenny Ricks and Kiss, out of Memphis, is the one who came up with the designs and the concepts for the renovation of the Civic Center. And Frankie couldn't be here today, but sends his best.
Y'all look great. Sally and Mickey, they can't see you better. Y'all look great.
Steve is the point person. He's going to be working with Butch. But basically, construction will start on October the 23rd. It will not adversely impact the Oktoberfest celebration that will be held. They're going to start on the south side of the building, and they're going to do all the concrete work. They're going to work around, and then they'll be able to do some work in the add some stone and do some work to expand the parking on the north side. And then as soon as the spring weather breaks, then they'll be back in here to do most of the paving. And then we'll have the paving and the lighting put in, and then we'll be good to go. All of it should be wrapped up before the Arts and Crafts Festival that's scheduled for May.
Nothing you put. How's that? Yeah, let's do it. Here we go. 1, 2, 3.
got awful close. Hi, all right. I don't need a hard hat. Okay. We can't do it without each other.
Here at Manchester Funeral Home, we know the importance of living and working in our local community because it's those families who we serve during their time of need honorably. We believe in supporting local business and offer only 100% Batesville caskets, the best in the industry and a driver of our local economy. If you want straightforward and fair pricing while working with the people you know, choose Manchester Funeral Home, serving your community since 1932. And pre-planning and pre-funding can be the best gift you ever leave your loved ones. Call us to pre-arrange. Manchester Funeral Home. Our family, caring for your family since 1932.
If you want to be a parent, it doesn't matter how you play, what you wear, how you dance, or even what direction life takes you. You just need to be there. You don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care don't need perfection. They just need you.
How long has it been since you raced a cheetah? Are your tornado creating skills getting rusty? Tired of being the only one in your neighborhood who hasn't built a dinosaur? Sounds like it's time to visit the Hands-On Science Center. The Hands-On Science Center is an indoor science playground. In this museum, please touch is the rule. Join us for weekly science demonstrations on space, lasers, lizards, rocks, and a whole lot more. No two visits are ever the same, so visit often to see our ever-changing exhibits and demonstrations. The Hands-On Science Center, 101 Mitchell Boulevard in Tullahoma.
Being a supporter of the Tullahoma Art Center, it's always fun to have someone come on the show and discuss what's going on over there with us. And today, John Huffington is on the set, and he is here because he is having a show over there right now to the end of the month. And Jacqueline's here to talk with us about something completely different.
At the Art Center.
So at the Art Center, but we're going to visit with John first. John, welcome.
Thank you.
And give us a little background about how you got into the nature photography business.
Well, I've been interested in the arts my whole life. My grandmother was a painter, and I came from another career in the culinary arts as a chef for about 15 years, and changed directions. I worked in Nashville as a remote recording engineer, and but I've always had a love for the outdoors and have been an avid outdoorsman my whole life, and just being in awe of the natural beauty in this area sparked me to pursue other interests.
Right. And so to the point that you have a show at the Art Center.
Yes.
And we were over there yesterday. What I'd like to do is give some shots of some of these photographs. Well, she's not here right now, so we'll do that in just a minute. Culinary arts.
Yes.
What's your favorite thing to cook?
Oh my goodness, I'm a huge fan of shrimp and grits.
Shrimp and grits. Okay. now that my girl, our wonderful photographer, camera lady is back, Julia. Pick one, Julia, and let John describe what we're looking at.
Okay. The monograph, the study is of the South Cumberland State Park System, and this is Sycamore Falls. This was probably taken 7-8 years ago. What I've been trying to do, with this monograph is really study the diversity that the park system in Grundy County has to offer, and so there are a lot of varying images. Some of these will be more familiar. This is a popular swimming hole. At Fiery Gizzard.
There you go. So let's go on to another one now and give us a little bit of description there. Ooh, that's beautiful.
And I brought this along. Fall colors, we're in the fall season. This is at Grundy Lakes in Tracy City, Tennessee. Now, I mean, this is a beautiful park that's accessible to all. There's a lot of paved trails, old coke ovens, and but it's a forgotten part of the park because outside of the locals, it is not really well known.
Right.
But it's a great day for a place for a picnic or to spend with your family out there. Now, this was also at Grundy Lakes, and I don't know how well the image will show up, but it's just this time of year, especially late afternoon, the golden and red colors of the trees are just reflecting beautifully off the water. And this is a family of ducks swimming by.
All right, so, and you mentioned coke ovens, and to me, that was the most interesting, one of the most interesting pictures in your show over at the Art Center, and it's just horseshoes of ovens stacked up on a bank, and that was my favorite shot of the whole thing.
Well, I appreciate it. That image actually sold, so that's a good thing.
Yeah. Well, maybe I have a little taste, whether y'all believe it or not, or at least I enjoy the same thing as somebody else does. John, thanks for being with us today, and have a good time in the show. And don't be a stranger. Let us know what's going on with you. And now, Jacqueline, what's your topic of discussion?
Well, first, I want to say that John's a very humble man. He actually sold 4 prints in his opening, which is fantastic for the Art Center. We're really excited for him, and we're really excited for us. You know, the Art Center, of course, has been an institution here in town for years and years and years. I know a lot of people, I was just talking to someone the other day, was telling me they remember growing up playing on the stairs there at the Art Center. And so we want to make sure that the Art Center is a vital part of the community. It should be noted, actually, that we have actually changed the name. It used to be the Tullahoma Fine Arts Center. It's now the Tullahoma Art Center. And we want to include all art in that. Handicrafts, woodworking, fine arts, everything. You know, so that's an important thing to us, that we keep that heritage, but we expand because art is changing. To that point, we actually have an exciting thing coming up in November. We're putting together a showing of veterans art. We'd like to go forward in the future with doing some expression for painting for veterans and children with special needs. And so we're putting this together in the hopes that it will help us generate a little revenue for those courses. We actually have Art Palooza coming up this weekend, and that's going to be really exciting. It goes from 8 to 4 on Saturday the 14th. And we're going to have stuff for the kids to do. There's going to be the Ever After Princesses are going to be there painting rocks for our rock project with the children. We're going to have bounce houses. There's going to be plates on the grill for people to purchase so they can come out, have a good time, have some lunch. We're also going to have a rummage sale going on. So there's all kinds of stuff going on, and that's, like I said, Saturday the 14th from 8 to 4.
And then they can leave there, wait a couple hours, and go to South Jackson and hear Becky Buller.
I like it.
Yeah,
there we go.
We'll just keep them right there in the neighborhood.
That's it. They can just chill out at the Art Center for the day and then go on over and see Becky.
There you go.
Perfect.
Well, thank you so much for being here, and it's very nice to re-meet you.
Again, yes.
And know that we'll always be available for you for what you need and to help you publicize and promote whatever you're doing, okay?
We appreciate it.
All right, thanks a whole lot. We'll be right back after this message. Surprise, surprise.
The animal shelter has served Tullahoma dogs for nearly 30 years. Now, you can help us build a bigger and better no-kill shelter. Your tax-deductible gift is matched dollar for dollar, so come on, bark it forward and donate now to have your tax-deductible gift matched. Make your check payable to the COT Shelter Building Fund and go to tullahomatn.gov to see all the unique gifts available for your generosity. For more details, you can call City Hall at 455-2648.
right, folks, we're getting ready to have one of those great segments we have, John and Pat, and I'm getting ready to tell you all. Wait a minute.
Sorry.
Who is this?
I don't mean to interrupt, John.
Who is this? Hope Sarton?
Yes.
What are you doing here?
Well, I just wanted to come by and congratulate you on being Business of the Week for the Tullahoma Area Chamber of Commerce this week.
Isn't that great?
And so here is your swag bag.
Swag bag, folks. All right.
So, you and your entire team get free breakfast from Chick-fil-A all week long. All you have to do is just tell them.
Go in there and tell them.
Yes.
Aren't you sweet?
Yes, and you'll be featured in our newsletter and on our social media, so you'll have to check it out and make sure you like and share.
We did. It looks great. Business of the Week, P-Head Productions. Thank you, Hope Sarton. Thank you, Chamber of Commerce. John and Pat. Talking history about this and that. It's conversations with John and Pat. With John and Pat. With John and Pat.
Hello everyone, I'm John Rickman. And this is Pat Welch. And John, we're at segment 64. 64. Hopefully management doesn't kick us out the door.
Hope there'll be more.
Correct.
I want to do a little song I wrote several years ago. I took a gentleman from Tullahoma over to our hometown of Chapel Hill sometime back, Mr. Robert Rainey. And this is a little song I thought about because...
John, was he part of that great migration from Chapel Hill to Tullahoma?
Yeah, just like the Irish came to America.
In search of food and jobs.
We didn't have a potato famine, we had a dirt famine. There was all rock. Everything was rock over there. Every now and then I go back to my home in the country, back to the farm where I was raised. I walk down by the creek back where I played as a child. I tell you those were sure some happy days. Out in the fields I see myself again as a young man, pitching hay bales high as a house, working with my shirt off out in the broiling sun. I learned where that work was all about. I thank God I was raised up in the country, raised up in the country, proud and free. Behind every rock and every tree, 10,000 precious memories, whispering my home, sweet country home. I wander through the woods with my faithful dog, old Jeb. How that dog would bark when he'd get near. He's the best darn squirrel dog a farm boy ever had. The sad part is old Jeb's been dead for years. Then from out the back door I hear my mama calling, it's time to eat, you children, come on in. We'd gather round the table, my daddy'd say the blessing. I wish that I could live those days again. And I thank God I was raised up in the country, raised up in the country, proud and free. Behind every rock and every tree, 10,000 precious memories, whispering my home, sweet country home. Whispering my home, sweet country home.
Excellent, John. Excellent.
We didn't even get that a little applause that we normally get from management.
I think management was awestruck.
But, oh, there they go. Hey, show that picture, Philip, of Mr. Robert. We loaded up in the car. I picked Robert up, and we took off to Chapel Hill, and we ate breakfast at the Country Diner in Chapel Hill. I looked around to see if there's anyone I knew. There wasn't anybody I knew there anymore. Everybody looks like strangers.
Now, how long ago was this, John?
This is about a month.
Okay.
Maybe
well, great.
This maybe a month and a half
This
ago.
is post our trips over there to the Ghost Light and the Trestle and those type of...
And Robert remembered people back over there. We went by Mr. a fellow down there that he used to work for, and no longer is that house standing there. We went down to Holt's Corner, and there used to be a cedar mill down there that was operated by George Haynes, that is no longer, of course, in operation. They provided a lot of
Holt's
pencil.
Corner, where there was a general store that had a
Lund store,
and it had a marking of where a flooded.
That was Caney Springs.
Caney Springs, okay.
Yeah, you've got it.
Well, it's not too far from there, though.
No, not that far. But there in Holt's Corner, we went under a trestle, another trestle, and went out to a graveyard where a lot of Robert's people were buried, and we took some pictures of those tombstones, and then we went to over to Annie Station, which is a little closer to Lewisburg, and not toward Lewisburg, toward Laws Hill. You wouldn't know where Laws Hill is,
but these suburbs.
But anyway,
it
was a good little trip, and we came back, and I'll always remember that trip we took. Philip, show that picture of Mr. and Ms. Rainey. Robert is a pillar of our church. I'm going to tell you, he's a kind, gentle person. There's Peggy, his wife, dear folks. And they've got 3 children, and Robert and Peggy, I think Robert worked at AEDC. The way Robert got to Tullahoma is a story in itself. His daddy, along with Charlie Osborne's father, a lot of people remember Charlie Osborne, and then Doc Noblet, who was only 7 years older than Robert, he said, so he wouldn't have been but 16 or 17 at the time, all came to Tullahoma together. And I think Doc Noblet had a couple of brothers too, but they cut timber at the Woods Reservoir. They were timber loggers, and they cut timber there to prepare for the lake that finally was put there.
Well, there'd been plenty of logs to be brought out of that area.
And I suppose that there was work at AEDC from that point on, so they just stuck around, and Tullahoma became their home, sort of like it did for me. And put up that historical marker. We saw this. This is down near the Duck River Bridge. It's I can read it pretty good off the screen. Revolutionary War veteran is buried, family plot, born in Orange County, North Carolina, January 12th, 1763. He fought as a volunteer infantryman at Guilford Courthouse and elsewhere, a member of the North Carolina House of Commons, 1809 to 1810, and then again in 1814. He came here in 1823 and died in 1826. Isaac Rainey, he certainly was given some land because of his service in the Revolutionary War.
John, I'm not trying to upstage you on your pronunciation of
when did that
Guilford.
ever become a problem with you, Pat?
That town is Guilford, and it is on the North Carolina. It's lack of education is not the problem, Mary. It's your eyesight. It's Guil, and it's on the border of North Carolina and Virginia, in the middle of the state. There's a small liberal arts college there at Guilford that has that. It's Guilford College.
Well, Robert is a descendant of that Isaac Rainey fella, and then I would like for Philip to bring up someone who else came in the migration. This is my old doctor back when I was a child, Mr. N.H. Culbertson from Chapel Hill, and he was a doctor that would make house calls back at that time. And you'd go to his office, and I still remember the smell of alcohol and Benadryl, whatever they used, and I always remember I didn't care for the smell, but it was a sterile type of environment. And Dr. Culbertson was our family doctor, and my sister Mary Johns, he delivered her. And of course, I was
at the house.
7 years later, at the house. Yeah. And that kind of a funny thing happened. Dr. Culbertson said to my dad, I need some water. I need for you to
put some water, boil some water for me. And Daddy, of course, he didn't know how much Dr. Culbertson meant, so he got a great big thing of water and set it on the stove. And Dr. Culbertson came in there and saw how much water was boiling. He said, "Ike, we aren't scalding hogs now."
Did that Mr. Culbertson come to Tullahoma, or that was his son?
Now,
I'm sorry.
Dr. Culbertson was my physician in Chapel Hill, and he stayed put in Chapel Hill. And now we go to the next picture.
All right.
Now, a lot of people will remember this gentleman. He came in the Great Migration to Tullahoma, and that's Mr. Bill Culbertson. And if you go down North Jackson, you will see Dave's Culbertson Funeral Home, and that's the Culbertson in the name there. And Bill was in Rotary with us, as you know, Pat.
He remained active in the funeral home probably through the 80s, I would think, didn't he?
Retired maybe the last years of his life and lived in Estill Springs, as I remember. And Bill was a good fellow. And one thing I always enjoyed about Bill, Johnny, how's Cat doing? And he'll always remember people that in his past, and I always appreciate
which is your mother,
that, which is my
Catherine,
mother.
Catherine, she went by Cat.
And Bill Culbertson's a gentleman, of course, and we just miss him. And Dr. Culbertson, a good old man. He one time was principal at Forest School in Chapel Hill. Dr. Culbertson, before I guess he got his medical degree, and then Robert Rainey, of course, and the Noblets, and then Charlie Osborne. Remember him quite fondly. So that is
the Great Migration was good for Tullahoma. It brought some stellar people to town.
Well, thank you, Pat. We appreciate that. You could have done worse.
That's right. It's kind of like when you came, it's kind of like the Great Famine was around 1850, but there was another wave in the 1920s or so from Ireland. So you were in that kind of second wave.
I was in the early 70 wave there. Right. But we're glad to talk about this Great Migration, and Robert Rainey, bless his heart, we love the gentleman, and we'll go to Chapel Hill again someday.
John, that was a great report on the Great Migration from Marshall County to Coffee County.
That's right.
And that'll shut down segment 64, hoping to come back because we've got the more stories to come. Thank y'all.
Talking history about this and that. It's conversations with John and Pat. With John and Pat. With John and Pat.
Get your news first, fast, and free with your news leader on 6 every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday nights at 6, 8, and 10 p.m. Local weather, sports, community calendar events, and a comprehensive look at the latest news stories and news makers as only a video news broadcast can do. Get it first, fast, and free with News Leader on Channel 6, your local information network.
This has been my lucky day. I have another person with me today that I love and admire, Crystal McCullough, who is big on Hamiltunes. I'm so excited that y'all are doing that again.
Yeah, we're really excited. We're going to be doing it this Sunday at the Fly Arts Center in Shelbyville.
What time does it start?
It's Sunday at 2 p.m. and it's totally free. The public is invited, and we'd like for you to come out and support the Fly Arts Center and learn more about Hamiltunes. And
well, I have to tell you, when I saw it in Tullahoma, directed by Will Prater, I had not sat down and listened to much of the music. And to me, it was a thrill just getting to hear the music and the enthusiasm and the fact that you guys memorized those thousands of words and the activities from the audience.
Yeah.
I love that. They sing along sometimes.
The girl who played Alexander Hamilton, Mangos Campbell, is amazing. She is thousands
fantastic.
Of words to learn.
I know, I don't know how she did it.
All of the kids were great. They put me to shame, but I had a very small part as General Charles Lee. What
got you interested in it? I mean, when was the first time that you remember thinking about Hamiltunes?
My daughter was listening to this cool new Broadway musical, and so I'm always into Broadway things and musical things, and I listened to it and I liked it, and then started learning more about it. And it's interesting because on the surface level you think it's a hip hop musical about the founding father Alexander Hamilton. Those things don't seem to be going together, but it's awesome.
It is awesome,
and I really like it. I like history, and I like music, and I like Broadway. So it's the hottest thing on Broadway.
What impressed me was the age range. You had, I don't know who the youngest was, but I know there was young people from 13 or 14 at least.
I know 15 for sure. There may have been down to 13.
Those two that I know well that are 13 or 14, and they loved it. They're singing it still, and we have to give accolades to Will Prater for pulling this off.
Yeah.
Plus, I think the Hamilton Broadway production must be thrilled to have released this so that people get familiar.
Yeah, and this is a historic event. Lin-Manuel Miranda, the composer of Hamilton, has released this totally free of charge for youth groups or community groups to
learn
do.
The music,
And you can't charge admission for it, and you can't have costumes, and you're not supposed to have too much choreography or any.
So it's a free afternoon.
Yeah, it's a free afternoon, and
I think it's 2 acts. You'll usually do
it's
two acts, and so you
3
get a
hours
break.
total. But it's an awesome musical, and we're doing it this Sunday at the Fly in Shelbyville, and then we're going to be doing it the weekend after Thanksgiving in Nashville at the Music City Event Center, and then we're looking into possibilities of perhaps taking it to Knoxville.
So word's getting around. Next thing you know, you all will be world travelers.
Because Will was smart to jump on the bandwagon to get rights
before somebody else.
He is the director of Hamilton's Tennessee.
Great.
So we have the rights to perform it in
all over Tennessee.
All over Tennessee.
The beauty of this is the fact that it's free, and I suppose they'll have concessions for sale, and I would think since they have an intermission.
On the event center and everything, but
I'm talking about Shelbyville right now, which is it's Saturday. Sunday that you're doing this, and if you haven't seen it, or if you have seen it, you'll enjoy going, and you'll just be amazed. Is what I'd like to say. There's reservations. Tell them exactly where the Fly is located. Some people don't know.
It's on Main Street, just a block off Shelbyville, just a block off the square. If you'll go to the Capri and hang a left, you'll find it easily. But we wanted to thank the Fly for hosting Hamilton's, and we wanted to give them a little shout out. They're having another event on Friday night and Saturday night as a fundraiser for the center. They're having a chili supper, and they're performing War of the Worlds. The famous radio show that panicked the United States, historically. And they're having a dinner at 6 p.m. and then the actual show starts at 7. And that's a ticket price of $10, and it's a fundraiser for the Fly Arts Center. So it's 204 South Main Street is the address, just a block off the square. So they're having that Friday night and Saturday night, and that's one of their fundraisers. And then the Hamiltons is a free event to draw more people in to the center who might not go, people who like hip hop or
and I saw people at the South Jackson Civic Center that I'd never seen before.
Right, and that's why we hosted it there.
And I know you had one character from Nashville that came down and sang, and maybe more.
She's coming
again. Is she going with you?
Yes.
She was awesome.
Yeah, our George Washington is a lady from Nashville, and she's going to be at the Fly again, and she'll be in Nashville when we perform it in Nashville. So, yeah, we're having fun. And Will couldn't be here today, and he really wanted to still promote the show, so I'm like, I'll do it.
Oh yeah, and I think going to Nashville, that's a real cool guy, to get invited. Did he just call them up and tell them he had it going on?
The George Washington character being from Nashville,
since she's from Nashville,
I think she arranged
set it up. And that was great. And so somebody else, it'll go on and on and on, and before you know it,
and he was
you will have seen all of Tennessee.
Will Prater was helping with sound at Motlow this past weekend with the beauty pageants, and he met Miss Tennessee, and she's a Hamilton fan, and so she's trying to possibly get it to come to Knoxville, and then she might join our cast, so we might have Miss Tennessee
in our cast would be awesome.
Oh my gosh, that's so awesome.
When you first started in the show, did you all have to practice like hour after hour? I would think so.
Personally, I did. Some of these kids came into the first rehearsal knowing every word of everything.
Isn't that interesting?
And I have this book called the Hamiltome, and it's the book of every lyric, of every photo of the original Broadway cast.
Interesting, yeah.
And side notes by Lin-Manuel Miranda of how he wrote the song and the backstory behind it. And there were 4 or 5 versions of that book. I mean, 4 or 5 different copies of that book. People had it besides me.
Well,
and,
that's wonderful.
I call it my precious, like
it's probably worth a fortune.
Well, it cost $30 at the time, but I'm sure it'll be
30
worth
years
more.
from now, it's going to be probably $30,000.
Yeah, but it's an awesome book, and we actually used it during the performance. We had a music stand, and we had 4 copies of the book up there, so that in case you had a little blindfolder,
you could see it.
You could look at the lyrics, because it's a karaoke sing-along.
You know what? That didn't bother me at all. I thought it was very clean. You all were dressed in black. Well, you
we have our Hamilton shirt,
and you had 4 music stands. Very simple. And your first thought is, well, how good is this going to be? Well, I was mesmerized from the first mouth that opened.
Yeah,
it was really wonderful.
And
so that's Saturday night. Yeah,
are just amazing.
Saturday night.
No, it's
Sunday afternoon.
At 2.
Friday night and Saturday night, you're doing the barbecue.
Well, they're having the chili supper and the War of the Worlds as a fundraiser at the Fly, and then Sunday is our free Hamilton's event.
And you're just going to have to come back before you go to Nashville and Knoxville, okay?
Oh, we will do that.
Thanks, Crystal. We'll be back with more.
Thanks.
It's time for every family and business in Tullahoma to go green and recycle. Tullahoma Public Works makes it simple and easy to recycle. Just place your recyclable materials, paper, plastic, aluminum, and cardboard beside your garbage container on the same day your garbage is picked up. Your recycled materials don't have to be in a fancy container. Recycling is not only the right thing to do, it makes sense. Recycling pays. Paying to bury our garbage costs each of us. Please do your part. Let's go green, Tullahoma, and recycle.
Hi, I'm Cindy.
And I'm Jacob. I'm the Rooster.
And I'm the Red Maid. And we would like to welcome you to
Roosterware.
Yes, Roosterware is a cottage industry producing accessories for men, women, children, babies, and pets. All items are hand cut and sewn locally. Roosterware specializes in bow ties, pocket squares, scarves, cufflinks, neckties, and aprons of all sizes for all ages. Baby products include onesies, diaper covers, bibs, and burp pads. All bow ties, tie it yourself or pre-tied, come with an adjustable neckband. All products can be made with the material of your choice, as special orders are available upon request. Don't be standing back looking at fashion. Create your own with Roosterware.
Come visit us at
roosterandredmaiden.com
to find our handcrafted designs for
the cock of the walk.
I want to eat apples and bananas. I need to eat apples and bananas. Why can't I eat apples and bananas?
Support the Feeding America nationwide network of food banks to help provide meals to those in need. Join us at feedingamerica.org.
Get your news first, fast, and free with your news leader on 6 every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday nights at 6, 8, and 10 p.m. Local weather, sports, community calendar events, and a comprehensive look at the latest news stories and news makers as only a video news broadcast can do. Get it first, fast, and free with News Leader on Channel 6, your local information network.
Good morning, all you wonderful viewers at TV Land. And thank you, camera gentlemen, for putting a good, sharp, clear, colorful, contrasted picture on the screen. We're going to continue our little trip down memory lane now for you viewers, and we've had a number of people say, hey, I remember that, and that was so-and-so, and now it's really changed. That is the location of buildings and stores and places downtown and other places too. But we're still on a kind of the downtown circuit. We're a block from downtown, and recently we gave a story on the 100 block of North Jackson Street on both sides, and we thought we would continue that just a little bit and give you some information on the 200 block of North Jackson Street. Before that, though, the corner of Grundy and North Jackson is the Tullahoma Municipal Building, better known, of course, as the City Hall. And behind it was the first Tullahoma Public Works lot. They had one dump truck and one big pile of gravel there on the west side of the alley behind the City Hall, and there was a residence there. I think Mr. and Miss Grammer lived in that residence, and it was later raised, and the Public Works Department was moved down to the South Jackson near the Maplewood Cemetery. And anyway, on the building behind the City Hall on West Grundy Street is the USO building, and it was built during World War II and at the beginning of Camp Forest, and it was attended by thousands and thousands of soldiers that came for meals and to read and to write letters and see performances. Most of the outfits at Camp Forest had an orchestra or a band there, and they performed almost weekly, and the ladies from Manchester and Winchester and Tullahoma, young ladies came to be part of a dance that they really enjoyed and did well. They had the beautiful music and all the popular tunes of the 40s that were just so enjoyable, and they had a fountain for refreshments, and ladies brought cookies and things for them. It was a great place to be, and that building was vacated, of course, after the war. And by the way, it was the Protestant USO building, and the Catholic USO building was at the corner of Summit Drive and South Jackson, where the present school administration building is. And it burned in 1949. But anyway, the USO building on West Grundy Street was later bought by a church, and to my knowledge, they have services there regularly. Now, at the other corner of West Lincoln, and not West Lincoln, but West Grundy Street and North Jackson Street was a big two-story residence. I think it was occupied or owned by the Adelot family, and I guess it was Doak Adelot that was quite a newspaper man and historian, and he was probably mayor or alderman at one time. Very popular fellow, and they needed to make room for another building, so they jacked up his big, huge residence and moved it over one lot so that they would have room. And in the middle 30s, the Pan Am service station was built there on the corner. And just recently, it has been raised and moved from that corner, and that corner now is to be used for a parking lot for the city hall. And 2 lots are totally vacant and are used for parking. Now, the 3rd lot is a restaurant. It was a residence, and it was occupied by Dr. L.E. Taylor and Mrs. Taylor, and was there for many, many years, and has stayed there and remained there. And Butler's Pantry has opened their eating establishment there several months ago. And the other side of that lot was the used to be a big, large vacant lot that was used for the Chautauqua out of Chautauqua, New York. It came once every summer for a couple of weeks, and they had stage shows and productions there at the Chautauqua. Later, it was occupied and built by the Shepherd's Chevrolet Garage, and it was a very, very important part of Tullahoma at that time. And the Chevrolet place moved way out on North Jackson, and it was occupied by Mr. Roper. They had a bicycle shop there, and currently has lawnmower and power tools on that particular lot that is at the corner of Moore and North Jackson Street. Now, quickly on the other side of the street, at West Grundy and North Jackson, the first Christian church was built in 1876 on that particular corner. And on down the North Jackson Street was a residence of Dr. Boyd had a residence there, and the telephone company bought that property and built a new modern telephone exchange. And I have a picture someplace of about 8 or 10 of the switchboard operators there at the telephone exchange, and it was built because of the tremendous amount of messages that came in for the people at Camp Forest. And of course, Camp Forest had an exchange out there from 1941 to 1946. On the other side of the telephone building was the Vandegrift home, a 2-story wooden structure, and then on the corner was the Schultz residence. And later the other group of people down North Jackson Street. Now, one real important place was the big 2-story brick home with an iron fence around it at the corner of Grizzard and North Jackson Street was the Ewan Davis home. And it was a beautiful structure. When it became available, the Travelers Aid and the, I believe the American Legion bought that home and used it for a while till they built their current place out on North Washington Street. But that was a very historic home there. The Davises had always been prominent people in Tullahoma, and I know Mr. Ewan Davis at one time was president of the International Red Cross. Also, he was ambassador at large with his office being there in Washington, D.C. And that home was very, very beautiful, and it was raised, and it is currently occupied by attorneys' offices there. Now, on down the street from there was the Dr. Ray had a home there. He practiced, I think, in his home, and another structure there was a 2-story structure that was Mr. H.L. Noblett's home, or rather Mr. John Noblett's home, and It was an important part there. And we want you to remember, this is not the end of the story, because there's a whole lot more to come. We thank you for watching, and we hope that you have a real good day.
Get your news first, fast, and free with your news leader on 6 every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday nights at 6, 8, and 10 p.m. Local weather, sports, community calendar events, and a comprehensive look at the latest news stories and news makers as only a video news broadcast can do. Get it first, fast, and free with News Leader on Channel 6, your local information network.
All right, folks, we had a great show today. I'm left here all alone with my friends, Julia, and the folks in the back. Thanks for being with us. Thanks to the Chamber of Commerce for making us Business of the Week this week after 25 years of dedication to bringing you local information. We're mighty proud, and we'll see you next time.